Hello and welcome to Access Astrology. We are three astrologers fascinated by how astrology unfolds in our daily lives, in the headlines, and in our metaphysical searches and growth. This is Heather Rowan Robbins. I'm speaking to you tonight from Ronan, Montana, and I am joined by my dear friends, Anne.
Ann Ortley here in New York City on a beautiful Mercury and Virgo day. We love Mercury and Virgo now for a couple of weeks. Yay!
Yay. Can we get a little wound up, but it's good for us.
Ah,
Yeah,
And Mark.
Mark Woltz, also in New York City, and watching Mercury. He's doing a lot of shuffling around this week.
he's a busy guy. He's a busy guy.
Yes,
Mhm.
and so today we have that Mercury has just gone into its own sign of Virgo.
Mhm.
And, Virgo is that sense of sorting. I always think of her holding the sheaf of wheat or the guts that sorts, nutrient crap. And that our minds in Virgo, and, Anne and I both are flooded with Virgo in our chart.
Mhm.
So we can speak for it without being, slamming it, but the Virgo is that it thinks and sees the details and it wants to understand it and look under the rocks. And I feel good about how much our minds wind up at this time of year, getting ready for the year ahead.
Mhm.
I always think of the Virgoan mind as like a border collie.
Mhm.
If you want it to work, it is efficient, it gets messages, it gets it done, it rounds things up, it can travel far and come back, but you can't leave it alone in an apartment because it will chew through everything. It needs to be kept busy. It needs a job to do. So
Right.
right now, if your mind starts to wind up or you start perseverating on your concerns and you overthink and worry, your mind needs a bigger job. It needs a project to sink its teeth into, a problem to solve, a meditation, like a Zen koan to ponder, to give it something to chew on, like a good dog. Give it a good work to do. And that's what I'm seeing as so important right now. It's bringing in that critical edge. There's a lot. It was, this year the news is wild. The sun, by the way, has been flaring all week. There's another solar discharge today. There were aurora borealis visible in Canada yesterday. And when the sun is that active, the volume is turned way up, and events just blow out of proportion or become huge so quickly. And there's so much happening all around the globe. I'm thinking of my heart is going out to the earthquake in Afghanistan and the slide. There was a mudslide somewhere else that was just, our hearts can go to save that. Florence Nightingale was a Virgo. Virgo is also the desire to heal and to be helpful. It can bring that strongly in. How do we heal the world? How do we help each other? But it can also have an incredibly strong bullshit meter. So that's the ability to sort good from difficulty. And I'm
Mhm.
seeing that really kicking in, especially around this coming eclipse.
Yeah.
And what are you seeing in this week ahead?
Yeah. Well, the other thing to remember is Mercury goes into Virgo, or any planet goes into a new sign. It sets off
Everything right now.
all the planets at 0 and 1. Saturn, Neptune, Uranus, and Pluto. So Mercury is going to form a finger of God with Saturn and Neptune and Pluto, and then it also is going to square Uranus. And then interestingly, Mercury and Uranus are in a square, right? And the Sun is going to form a hammer of Thor. So we are getting knocked back, forth, making fated choices. And also, Jupiter talks to the nodes of fate this week, which he does once a year. But this is when he's talking to them as we're building towards a full moon eclipse that is big and juicy, that's happening on the 7th. So,
Hmm.
revving the engines, everything up and rolling, and zoom. And to your point, I wake up like a bolt and I'm like awake. And normally I roll over and hang out with the cat, and I roll over and I'm like, I got to get up. I got to get up. And so it's honoring the Virgo energy of the go back to school and get it organized, and your lunch bag and your pencils and your little books, and you got all that stuff. And your to-do list, the ruler of the sun in Virgo was Leo just a couple days ago. I was like, kick back and have corn on the cob. And now it's Virgo. And she's like, no, 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 we got stuff to do. So there's feistiness, and also We want to wish Heather a happy birthday because her birthday as a Virgo is in 2 days, and she's our fearless
Woo!
leader running our computer stuff in good Virgoan fashion. So happy
Thank
birthday, Heather, and hope everybody in the
thank you.
audience sing happy birthday to Heather on her birthday. We're not going to sing here because
Thank you. But that's wonderful, and thank you. Yes, and it's a big birthday, so I am looking forward to this next. We're going camping in Yellowstone
nice.
to wake up in the wild on my birthday. I like to start a
Mhm.
year that way.
Mhm.
And we've got an eclipse coming up.
Yes.
And this is the eclipse for Missoula for this area, but it'll be, adjust your time. And that's a really interesting Pisces Virgo eclipse.
Yeah.
I think there's going to be a breaking down if people choose to be the least bit awake. It can be really shatter some illusions that we have and break open with new facts or better critical thinking as Saturn's retrograded back into Pisces,
Mhm.
and this moon right on the south node, north node, the nodal axis. It's that full moon. It's an eclipse,
Mhm.
and it is pretty powerful time of sorting what's true and what's not. And I think it's interesting that tomorrow Epstein's victims are coming to speak up, just as this eclipse focuses.
Mhm.
What are you seeing with that? And then we have, yeah, the solar eclipse coming up soon too. But Anne, what are you seeing?
Well, the World Point. So that's the women victims, right? And they just did release 33,000 pages. Congress just got it and released it. So the Epstein files are officially out there on the internet someplace.
Fabulous.
And the Venus in Leo is the young women. It's age 15, right? 15,
Hmm.
16,
Hmm.
15 and 9 months if we do the year. And so them stepping forward and saying, hey, when I was 15, or when I was younger, this is what happened. And there is the quincunx from the moon to the Venus has a very strong, adjusting energy around how are we, what are we thinking, what are we doing, and then the Ceres in Aries is trine to the Venus, so it's a very juicy eclipse chart, and of course these nodes we always go back 19 years for nodes, so think about what you were doing in September of '06 and in September of '87 and in September of '68 because those were when these nodes fired again. And so if you think about then, what was going on for you? Because every 19 years they repeat. So it's a big juicy story. You can see the planets are all over the place. So it just means we're going to be hopping from story to story to story. Mark, what do you see?
Yeah, it's that hopping around is it, we run into difficulties in one area, and then right away it gets resolved in another, and then that sets up a new difficulty. So there's like this alternating between difficult and a sense of relief, but the relief just brings another difficulty. So the advice for that is just deal with it.
Mhm. No. Kind of like whack-a-mole. It's a
It is.
whack-a-mole eclipse. Yeah.
Right. So for all of us that are going through, I like the fact that Venus in Leo and Mars in Libra are giving us some social grace and kind of a interpersonal lubricant. It can soften things that even in great difficult times, we can be more open or connected. I think that'll help kids going back to school and help all of us in our outreach because we're heading into a very busy season. There's a lot going on. And to be able to reach into that Mars in Libra, good graces, and Venus in Leo, willing to be extroverted. We just ask that Venus in Leo, we care what we look like, we care about some other things, whether we like it or not. But to use that to reach out to help everybody feel seen. If you want to soften someone or make a connection, let them feel seen instead of demanding to be seen, and watch how smooth that the flow between you becomes and understanding. If you need to train them for a long-term relationship, then you want to make sure they see you too. But for right now, I think that Libra Leo energy, Venus and Mars, will help deal with all the stuff that's coming down the pike.
Right, right. And remembering that Venus is going to catch up to Mars now, but also that they're in a sextile, so they really do want to work together. And so, kind of like that, there's that wonderful song I used to love called "Try a Little Tenderness."
Hmm.
It's a full moon eclipse to try tenderness on,
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
because it's
So we
little.
have a couple of important people that have asked for readings today. Well, this one in particular, I'm thinking of. This is a mother saying that the daughter is missing. Now she's about 16, just turned 17, that era. So she, and I've got the tri-wheel, but I wanted to take a good look at this interesting mix. Now, when I was 15, I ran away from home and I was gone for 6 weeks and came home seeing, having been mugged and, had a gun pulled on me and all kinds of fun things. It was tough, but it also woke me up and I think made me a good counselor in the long run. But it wasn't, and then I went back to school and was fine. So I'm feeling that there is something along the line of that, not that this person was dragged away with that sun opposed Jupiter. That doesn't mean they're not bad people involved, but with that sun, this is someone who is longing for freedom, who wants to be with the world, who wants to reach out, who with a Scorpio rising probably plays her cards close to her chest and, appears to keep secrets. But with that Mercury Saturn conjunction, she may be more intelligent and able to learn what she's doing than at first is visible. This worries me a little bit down here, that Jupiter Neptune conjunction, which can make someone highly intuitive, very creative, or a little prone to drug and escapist propensities. So she may not be so realistic. She may be around people that have the issues with that, but she's got the intelligence and the kind of strong mind to work things through here. What are you seeing, Anne and Mark? Take a look at this chart.
She's got some protection built in, but she has to reach out for it, and it may take her longer to do that than you hope, but it has to come from her. And that Jupiter opposite Sun, there's a way to balance that, but she's the one that has to do it. So, and Neptune is there to help. And also Mars is trining the Jupiter Neptune Chiron group. So that's just a matter of keeping going. And I think she has the sense to keep going. Don't get stuck.
Yeah.
What do you see, Anne?
Well, I'm looking at that Mercury Saturn, which is where the eclipse is. So I think she surfaces during the
Hmm.
eclipse season, meaning you'll find out where she is.
Between the 7th and the 21st.
Yeah, because the new moon is at 15, or the full moon is at 15, and it's right on the Mercury. And then Saturn is at the last degree, 29 Virgo, and it's trining the North Node. So I think you can hear from her. It looks like it might be an adventure,
Hmm.
that she went off on an adventure. Rising sign is Scorpio, Mars is in Gemini. So she knows where she is, right? And while we may not, or her parents may not, that she knows, and that Mars trines the Jupiter, so that's helpful. When did she leave? Do we have the day she left on?
I do not have that.
Okay.
And I'm sorry, this is her,
This
the
today.
tri-wheel and her progressed Venus in Leo, with Venus coming up there, kind of moving towards the center.
Mhm.
Mercury is coming up. Now just went into Virgo, hitting her midheaven. I think you're right that she's having some tough, interesting lessons that she's learning from. But her
Mhm.
progressed moon is in Capricorn. She's learning a lot.
Yeah.
And what I see, her moon in Gemini, Uranus almost hit it, and I think that's probably when she was planning or leaving, and then Uranus dropped back and is going to hit again. Now, again, My moon is in the 7th house. My daughter's moon is in the 7th house. My granddaughter's moon is in the south. My mother's moon was on her ascendant. So what I find with that moon in the 7th house is unusually strong psychic connection to the mother, for better or for worse. And every one of the generations has had to take a break from their mom, really take a deep breath, kind of come to know who they are away from their mom. And then, my daughter and I are so close now, but we needed that break when in her adolescence. She needed it. She went to live with her dad. I needed it. I ran away from home and then went to boarding school. That that and then we could reconnect in a good way. So believe in your daughter that and give her the psychic space when she comes back to find herself. Love her, take care of her, but give her room to kind of form her own identity at this moment. And in this process would be my, heartfelt suggestion on on this person.
Yeah,
And I'm
give her
praying for her
the benefit
safety
of
in
the
this
doubt.
process. Mhm.
What was that, Mark?
Give her the benefit of the doubt,
Mhm.
and let her follow her own sense of what she needs to do.
Yeah.
And I know in this case, I trust your daughter to kind of find her way here. I don't always trust the people around her with that Pluto at 0 degrees. And I think I'm praying that she's got the sense, the strength, and the awareness to handle difficult people. But I think she is learning leaps and bounds now.
Yeah. Yeah. And with the Mercury Mars, or I'm sorry, the Mars Saturn aspect, it's a square, right? So to your point, Heather, the progressed Saturn's 22, it's squaring that Mars. So I agree that it's sometimes hard, when you're a parent, when the kids have to do things that you would be like, why, and I'm thinking of a couple people I know that did like you did. They ran away from home or they took time off. And in fact, when I went to my father's funeral, one of my high school friends said, "Oh, I ran away to your house when we were in high school." I said, "Really?" She goes, "Yeah, I ran away to your mother." I'm like, "Okay." My mother never said anything about it. And I'm sure my mother called her mother and told her we have, she's safe here. So I think she's okay. I think she's with that Saturn, Mercury, Mars. It's some kind of assertion of what she needs to do. And as that progressed moon comes to talk to the Mercury and the Saturn, which is the next couple of months, um, I think you're gonna hear from her, or maybe even on the eclipse, because the eclipse is right on the Mercury. And she may not be home for a couple of months, but I think you'll hear from her. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And this is from Claire from Ireland,
Hi,
and
Claire in Ireland.
she says, "Love your program. Any information around career direction and events coming up? Thank you in advance. Y'all have a great program." And which is lovely. We love to hear that.
Mhm.
So here is Claire, and it is, and we can, with all that Scorpio moon, Scorpio sun, Scorpio Neptune, with Jupiter on the ascendant. And so we've got her tri-wheel also. But taking a look at that, what would you two say? And it's such an interesting set of contradictions in fixed signs.
Yeah.
Mars in Leo opposed Saturn. Any Mars Saturn opposition can make it hard to know what you're supposed to do, because what you want and what you think you should ought to do can feel so at odds, and they both square things. When she gets this going, she's going to be unstoppable, but it can really feel hard to time and rhythm.
Mhm.
What do you see, Anne?
Well, Saturn, I mean, I always look at the contrast between the sixth house and the 10th. Sixth house is what you do for your money, for your paycheck, for your coin in your purse, what your daily work is. And then the 10th house is what you're called to do.
Hmm.
Some people call it your vocation and calling, but it isn't necessarily your career, but it's what you're known for, what you're called for. So with her Saturn in the 11th, it's working with groups, working with other people's children, it's working in some kind of community connection where she's an authority figure. I always think of Saturn and Aquarius, a bit of Mary Poppins, kind of a nanny energy. But then it's opposite the Mars, and Mars is the co-ruler of her sixth house of work. So there's a little conflict there that she wants more creative stuff with the Mars and Leo in the fifth than maybe she's getting. And so I would be like, what are you doing for art? Claire, are you painting? Are you dancing? Are you singing? What's your happy place? Because that fifth house is really loaded. And Venus rules the fifth, is in the fifth, but it rules the sixth. So if she's doing something she loves, she's a happy little camper.
And that also rules her ascendant.
Yeah, if she's not doing something she loves, then she can be pretty miserable. So that would be my question. And right now, with all the planets at 28, 29, they're Saturn, Neptune, and Uranus are all going to whack them again as they go back into Pisces and Taurus, and then they're going to whack them again when they go back into Aries. So you're coming up with a new 38-year cycle in your house of creativity. So that'll be good, but you have to find
the wrong one.
You have to find what you're looking for that makes you happy. Right? That part I don't. How you blend that. That's the conflict. But if you can make joy be part of your day, I think that would help. Mark, what do you see?
Yeah, the chart itself tends to push you toward reactive mode, and reactive doesn't work. So you want to really let things come from yourself. The Saturn and Neptune are trying to work together, and they don't quite. You have Pluto, Uranus trying to work together, and neither one of them likes to work with other planets. So, and those are all deep within you. And so you want to bring out what you are here to do and follow it.
And you're having the eclipses right on your Uranus, Pluto in the fifth house. So what were you doing back in 06? What were you doing in 68? You were a little kid. Your parents were doing it. What was your dad and mom doing in 68? And where did that then maybe not let you go do the creative things you wanted to do? So doing them now is always helpful because you're kind of like, all right, I'm starting this huge new cycle with all these planets in fire and air. And you have a fair amount of fire and air in your passion places, but the earth and water is so practical. So we want to get you focused on your passion. And with Pluto up there in the midheaven as a career changer, he wants you, he's been up there since COVID actually, but you want to kind of think about, well, like what am I inspired by? And if I do that a little bit every day, and with charts like yours, because it's all over the place, I like to say, feed each of your planets every day. Like think about what a 22-year-old Jupiter and Taurus would want, and do that. You need to have a piece of chocolate. You need to have a delicious time, a foot rub, a massage, something. You need to garden. You need to do something that nurtures you every day. And if you feed all the planets, then they'll start talking to you. Because with your chart, a lot of those planets can get ignored because you're being responsible. You ignore the ones that are jumping around saying, I want attention. So if you feed them all, everybody's happy, and then they'll start talking to you about what they really want to do.
Right. Yeah. About 2.5 years ago, you started a whole new cycle when you had progressed lunar new moon. And so give yourself a chance that this next cycle can be very different from the last one, that you have a lot of inner contradictions with that Mars-Saturn opposition, then they both square the Jupiter and moon opposition here. And it's, that I think that eclipse is going to hit right on your Pluto in the fifth, to go back to what did block the belief that you could be the creative person that you want to be, that you can't do A or B or C or D. And the Scorpio likes to concentrate, but your chart is a little bit of everything, as Anne pointed out. That if you can come back and notice what blocks you, really let yourself play with your imagination now about what would be the perfect next life and job, and what would you like to do next. And then notice where you feel the family patterns have trained you that you can't do it. and work on softening and healing that dialogue, because it doesn't have to be so in this next cycle.
Think of yourself as a seeing eye dog that retired.
Yeah.
They were taught not to bark, not to chase cars, not to fetch. But you're a retired seeing eye dog, so what do you want to do?
Yeah, that moon conjunct Mercury in Scorpio, that again is a really tough thing. It tends to be very reactive, but if you can pause for a moment before you take the reactive action and go a little deeper, ask yourself what's below the motivation, what's the next layer down, and you use that energy to find out more of what it is you need to bring out.
Well, wonderful. And we're getting close to the end of our time. I had one more person that I was going to try to fit in, but we'll try to take 4 next week. And you're going to be gone next week. Is that correct?
I am gone. I'm on a cruise in the Mediterranean. So I go on fly
Life's so
out on
tough.
Friday and I come back on Monday. So I'll be back the following Tuesday. So.
And I'm gone until this Monday because I'm heading to Yellowstone.
For your birthday. Yay!
Yay.
And if you want to reach me for a reading, rowanrobbins.com. And how can they reach you for a reading?
And Ortley.com.
And Mark?
You can reach me at markwolz.com. That's the easiest one.
markwolz.com?
MarkWolz.com.
Okay, wonderful. And enjoy all of us to take it to this work that we're putting out there. Mark was out with meditative thoughts on the coming eclipse this Sunday.
Sure. Take a moment to sit tall, close your eyes, begin to tune into your breath. Feel each breath as it comes in, as it goes out. And then think about the eclipse energy. Think about where in your chart the eclipse will line up. Take a few more breaths and be receptive to what the eclipses bring. Open your eyes and go forward.
Thank you so much. And thank you to all of our audience. We have about 2 more weeks packed with people, but we are taking people. We try to get to you in the order that we came. There were a few people we missed last spring before my systems got into place, and I think we're going to catch those up soon. I'm sorry about that. And we will look forward to talking to each and every one of you when we get a chance.
Saturn's back in Pisces. That's why we're doing stuff from last spring.
Yes, and we all will do some major review work this fall
Time
as
to
we get
review
ready
the-
for next year.
Last year. Yeah, I got a big list myself. Yeah.
Okay. Blessings, and we'll see you next week.
Bye, everybody.